Hello and welcome to the very first episode of WordCamp Europe Insights, a podcast in which we explore the backstage stories from organizing the biggest WordPress conference in Europe. You can expect talks with community members, WordCamp organizers, and WordPress enthusiasts, hopefully such as you. Whether you're a WordCamp veteran or thinking about volunteering or simply curious about what makes this event special, welcome to the conversation. I am Kasia Janoska, WordCamp Europe organizer this year, and my guest today is...
I'm Steve Mosby, and I'm one of the mentors for WordCamp Europe 2026.
Hi, Steve. Thank you so much for joining me in this very, very first episode of the podcast. We will cover some super basics today. So, are you ready for the fire of questions?
Yeah, of course.
Great. So, starting from basics, as I mentioned, with your own words, could you tell us what WordCamp Europe even is?
Of course. WordCamp Europe is a flagship community event. It's for everyone who uses, who builds with, or who is passionate about WordPress. We have developers and designers. We even have business owners and just even people who use WordPress as a hobby who join us from all over Europe and actually the rest of the world as well for several days of talks and workshops. And honestly, some of the best conversations you can have in the hallway and in social events. It's great for networking. And at the same time, one of the key things which I really like is you have so much fun. It is absolutely the highlight of my year, every year, to catch up with loads of friends and to meet loads of new ones as well.
Last year, it was in Basel, Switzerland. And this year, it's in Kraków, Poland. Why does it change?
Yeah, so our community it's truly global. We celebrate it because with WordCamp Europe, we move the event each year around the continent. It's designed to invite different communities along. They get to showcase their city and their country, but also to highlight the different communities that we do have. And I think as well as an attendee, it's a really good opportunity to experience something different. Visited countries and places I wouldn't have thought of going to before. I'd never been to Greece until a few years ago, and I've never been to Italy. And now I've been several times to both and absolutely love it and love the communities that we do have there. So it's a great opportunity to let local WordPress countries and communities to have an opportunity to apply to host the event and bring a massive amount of people down on their doorstep.
I couldn't agree more. Last year, I was also in Basel. And honestly, I travel quite some, but I would never think of coming to Basel. Maybe Zurich, yeah, but Basel, I wouldn't think of that. And the city is so beautiful. And I lived in Kraków for several years, and I can tell it is beautiful too. So worth seeing. So you're the mentor of WordCamp Europe organizing team, right? So what does it mean to be a mentor? What do you do?
Yes, so that's right. This year, I am a mentor for the team. It means it's absolutely a privilege to support the organizing team with the event. I don't make decisions. That's not what a mentor does. They're here mainly to help the team go through decisions themselves and offer advice or a perspective on what's happened before. So I've been part of the organizing team for the last few years. So we do know that occasionally things will get difficult and you do have to make some hard decisions during the event and in the run up to it. But knowing what could be around the corner is quite handy from that experience because I can prepare the team and say, just so you know in advance, this might happen or we've got this to look forward to. So it's quite good to have that type of that little additional voice as such to support along the way. And mentors do change. So this is my first time doing this for WordCamp Europe. It's been a really good experience. The team, what we've got is really, they've got a lot of experience. They've got a lot of knowledge. And what they're actually planning, it's going to be really exciting what happens in Krakow. I'm really looking forward to what's happening.
And do you get bothered a lot as a mentor? Do you get a lot of questions this year?
Yes and no. Sometimes you do. And sometimes people, it's just more of a sense check. So they want perhaps just to say, we want to do this. Is it okay? And it's like, yeah, of course. We did that before in Basel or in Torino. Or they ask, like, for example, childcare. They ask what type of childcare did we provide in previous locations, and then I have the knowledge to say this is what we did on all these different types of events, and they can then make a decision from there. So sometimes I can have a few little questions come through. Sometimes I need to have a call. It's really, really good though, because it's nice to connect with the team and let them run with the event, do it as they wish. And yeah, we're just here as a supportive shoulder, not to cry on, but to give support along the way.
Oh, I bet some cries are ahead of you. And how do you know the answers to those questions? What were your roles in WordCamp organizing team before?
So I started as a volunteer, and a lot of people follow this type of route. So I was a volunteer 1 year, then I was an organizer, I think for 2 years, and then became team lead for communications and marketing, along with one of my colleagues, Matt Ross. And after a few years of that, became a lead organizer and then a mentor. So I've kind of gone up levels in that way. And I think it gives you a little bit of perspective along the way because you get ideas, you know how things happen. And that's one of the things that you can then transpose and copy onto other years, because we do have a little bit of a workflow, a bit of a roadmap of how we plan to do things. But you don't always know the answers. And that's where the great thing of having a few lead organizers and a number of different organizers within the team who are experienced, you can ask them and we can then make a consensus or a decision. So it's not one person making the decision, it's the community in that way. So it's really, really good how that works.
Yeah, and on that topic, there are three lead organizers of WordCamp Europe. Why three? Why not just one?
I think if you were to have one, so I don't always think people understand how big WordCamp Europe is with organizing team, and having three lead organizers. If you would have just one person who was managing everything, it would be far more than a full-time job. You would not be able to do that because it's incredibly busy, especially in the next few weeks and months as we get closer to June. Things start to get really busy. Having the three lead organizers, firstly, it means that if one person is unavailable or unwell or life happens, or, let's hope they do have a holiday, you've got two other people who can support along the way. So nothing has to stop or wait a week for a decision or anything. It gives a lot of resilience in that way. But as well, having the three lead organizers means that it's not just one person who's guiding or who's designing how the event will be. You've got the insight of three people, very experienced, very knowledgeable, who bring their own differences and own ideas. And that's one of the good things about this. It's a good community mix, what does create the event.
Oh, yeah. And there is also like around 100 people who organize this conference, right?
Yeah.
So I guess the reasons are quite similar, right? Why not 7 as a local WordCamp, just 100?
Yeah, so exactly, quite similar in that way. We do probably have around 100 organizers, and majority of them are volunteers as well, which a lot of people don't know. And it is a lot when people think of that, but it also is a very large, complex event. We usually have up to 3,000 people who attend. We've got several days of the conference. We've got the contributor day. We've also got some other side events, what happen, and social events. So trying to support all those people at that event and ensure that they enjoy it, it takes a village. It takes a lot of people who need to be part of this. And we do ensure then that there's not one person who's looking after sponsors and one person looking after speakers. Because when we're in the venue like we are in Krakow, which is the ICE, it's a very large venue, and one person looking after the sponsors running around, they would be tired after just a few minutes. And same with the speakers, you wouldn't be able to run up and down all those flights of stairs and outside and inside around the back areas. It would be chaos. So we've got a large team there who support each other. We've also got some people from WordCamp Central. We've got the mentors, and we've even got an external partner, which is who we've worked with for several years, called Production Pool. And they look after all the production. They look after the sponsors expo area, all the AV, all the items which need people full time looking after. So we've got all that going on, and it would be unfair if I don't mention as well, we usually have between 150 volunteers on the actual event days. So suddenly our organizing team goes from, at the beginning of the year, just the lead organizers and mentors, to having an organizing team and then having all the volunteers there as well. It's really good because, as we say, this is not a full-time job for people. It is a voluntary item. It is something which they do because they love the community and want to be a part of it. And by having all those people, it makes sure no one burns out. Nobody's responsible for one item. So what I would say to anyone listening is, when you do come to the event and see one of the organizer volunteers, do chat with them and, say thank you, because they've offered their time and support to make it as amazing as it's going to be in Krakow.
Yeah, true. I mean, I'm not vetting for thank yous from people as an organizer, but yeah, you are completely right that this is a challenge to organize this event. And now I have two questions about that. But first, I said this is a challenge. Do you remember your biggest or most memorable challenge that you had while organizing WordCamp and not being a mentor of WordCamp?
Okay, so it's like an interview. It's a challenge.
Well, it is an interview, isn't it?
Of course. I think so. Last year, I was lead organizer in Basel in Switzerland, and I was joined with two other amazing lead organizers, Laura Sacco, who's from Italy, and Joris Tazik, who's from Serbia. We had a lot of fun last year. We really, really did. They're a bunch of people who are really good friends, and it's been nice to catch up with them outside of WordCamp Europe as well, which is something which this community brings, is the friendship element. But last year, and over the last 2 years as such, there's definitely been a lot of change happening within the community. We were looking at hosting the event in a country which a lot of people, they had a reputation that it's one of the most expensive places in Europe, which it's not the cheapest, I will say, but it might not be the most expensive. And because I've got a background as an accountant, trying to keep a budget balanced is really important, because we don't want to go into debt, and we were concerned that we may have less attendees and there's a bit of uncertainty places. So we decided to put our people first and try and make it our mission to have the event where it would all be focused on the attendees and the organisers. We had open sessions with the organisers through town halls, which is what we do within our organising team. We have little meetings now and again, just to basically check how everybody is, see if anyone needs any support. But also it was good just to say, right, well, if there's a meeting taking place, anybody can go to that. We'll do it all within Slack. If you see a huddles happening within the sponsors channel, for example, and you have a question, head over, go in, they'll say hi. We're one community, we're one team here. And we delegated a lot of decisions. So instead of myself, Laura, or Euros taking decisions, we asked the teams and said, what would you do? What do you want to do? And it helped them really, really, in a really, really good way. Basel ended up being a great event. And I remember I didn't have much time to check my phone during the event, because as an organizer, and especially as a lead organizer, you're all over the venue. It is a great workout. You do so many steps, your watch is tracking everything you're doing, and you realize why in the evening, when you get to bed, you just hit the pillows and fall asleep. But you're ready for the next day. I didn't have time to check my phone, and I was sat at Basel Mulhouse Airport with some of team members, and I was there with a coffee, and I started actually getting quite emotional, because there were so many lovely, lovely comments on social media from attendees and pictures that people had had such a great time, and that made it made everything worth it. It made a very, very difficult year worth it, and all the challenges that we had as the team getting the event ready. And then suddenly I was in my mind thinking, right, next year, and off you go again. And it's quite addictive in that way. It is really, really good. And I'm really pleased everyone did enjoy the event.
And you thought, okay, next year, but you already were super experienced in the way. But we haven't mentioned how the people, how the volunteers, how the organizers suddenly appear in the organization. So can you say something more about this process?
Yeah, of course. Organizers are really, really important. Every year when we get on the stage at the end of WordCamp Europe, we hand over. So the lead organizers hand over is a bit like in the Olympics. Instead of like a torch, it's a microphone. So we hand the microphone to the new lead organizers. They announce the top secret location for the next year, which is a very good reason to stay for the closing announcements. We say thank you to all the organisers and volunteers who've supported us during the event, and then we open the call for next year. Because when the event finishes in June, we have a call for organisers. Anybody can apply, and that's open usually over the summer month because we don't really do anything over summer. We have a few bits of close down, which we do after the event, but generally we try and have a break because it's been a very long year. So anybody can apply, and then once in September, the lead organisers make their team lead choices and then go from there with getting them in place. So, I mean, if people were thinking about being an organizer, and it is really good fun, I've done it for about 5, 6 years, and I'm even looking forward to next year to even be a volunteer or to do something to be involved again in other events is really good. I'd say have a look at the website because at the moment it's got all the different teams that we have. And again, people are a bit worried, a bit sometimes a bit like the event. They think, oh no, I need to be really good at coding. And it's like, no, you don't. We've got a budget team. They deal with finance. They don't touch any code. And we've got a social media team who interacts and post content on social media. We've got teams who are kind of sponsors and speakers and volunteers. We don't have a dedicated team. We don't, not all 100 people are there coding every day. It's not that type of event. So instead, the organizers are such a diverse mix. I think truly there is a role for everyone.
Yeah. And all you have to do is really fill out a form in the website, right?
Exactly. That's right. It's that easy.
And this is the very big mystery to a lot of people. How do you become a lead organizer or a lead of a team or a mentor? Because this isn't simply filling out the form.
Well, yes, in some ways it is. So with a team lead, anybody can apply to be one. On the organizer application, it will actually ask if you want to be considered as a team lead. And a lot of our team leads actually previously were organizers last year. So when you look at the list of who's team leads this year, you may recognize them from previous year's events because they've been volunteers or organizers before. And I would say that the team who choose, so the lead organizers for next year, for example, they will choose from the applications who come through who they want to be the team leads for that year. And then those team leads will then choose their team members. So they will look at experience usually because WordCamp Europe is slightly different to other smaller local WordCamps. And if somebody has been a team member perhaps for a year or two before, just like in employment and jobs, they've got the experience and knowledge there. And it would be really unfair on somebody who hasn't been through that process before to suddenly jump into that position and realizing how much work or how much support might be involved along the way. So anybody can apply, but it might be good to be an organizer beforehand just to get that idea. The lead organizers actually are voted for by the current organizing team. So the organizing team we've got at the moment for Krakow, probably at some point before the event will be some type of nomination process. And it just goes from there. Those people are then asked, would you like to be a lead organizer for next year? And if so, there we go. We'll find out in June exactly who those people will be.
Yay! Community decision.
Yes.
And how else could you help with organizing WordCamp if you're not an organizer and not necessarily a volunteer right now? What are other ways to help?
So I mean, the call for volunteers is open at the moment, up until the end of March. So if you want to have a little taste and see what we actually get up to and how much fun it is, that might be something you want to do. As well, I would say make sure you're engaging with the social media team because we've got a great comms and social media team who are posting updates. There's all sorts of articles about what to do in Krakow and Poland. There's a very good one about food. And there's all sorts of nice little topics like that. If you see something you like, comment back and engage with them and ask questions, post your thoughts and photos. It's a really, really great way to be involved along the way. And I'm also looking forward to, I know this is the first podcast that we're doing, and it's a great it's a great honor for me to be the first one on here. I'm looking forward to seeing more of these. So I'll be subscribing to this to get updates. and
Yay,
definitely adding
thank you.
comments along the way as well. And I suppose the other way to get involved is come along. Krakow is really essential in Europe. It's really easy to get to. It's a lovely, lovely city. I've been a few times now because of WordCamp Europe. Again, as I said earlier, I'd never been to Poland before in my life. And now with the site visits and the actual event, I'll have been about 3, 4 times this year, which is brilliant. And it's so, so lovely. It's so clean and tidy. It's very, very pretty in the town centre. I absolutely love it. So yeah, get a ticket, come along to the event. It's a really, really good weekend.
Yay, valid point. Just coming is the greatest help you can do, actually. And as it comes to buying tickets, I sometimes hear a concern from people coming to WordCamps, not necessarily WordCamp Europe, but all of them, that they are not enough of a WordPress fan or they are not a greatest developer to come. What would you say to them?
I've heard that before as well. I think people envisage that it's going to be a room full of people all sat around debating PHP or SQL or code all day, and it couldn't be further from the truth. One thing I would say is have a look on the Flickr account which we have, because our photography team, again, who are all volunteers, take amazing photos during the event every year, and you'll be able to see there that there's people who probably are just like you, and they're just there having fun. They're chatting with people, they're engaging with sponsors, or they're having fun with games, or maybe they are taking part in contributing to WordPress, which is one of the main things we do on Contributor Day. I think it's generally for everyone, whether you've got a small blog or you're a small business owner, a designer or marketer, you belong there just like anyone else does. I'm an accountant. An accountant doesn't usually go to a tech event like this, and you've got to think why. And it's because I get insight and I get other networking opportunities from this, which is absolutely vital for my business. So it's really, really good in that way. Many people want to come along. You'll grow, you'll connect. And as I keep saying, and one thing I really, really push all the time and everything is you'll have fun. And that's exactly what WordCamp Europe is all about.
Would you consider being an accountant anything WordPressy from your side, from your end?
And so when I say accountant, I founded a cloud accounting business 12 years ago in the UK, and we serve around 800 self-employed individuals. And the entire platform is actually built on WordPress from end to end. I started with WordPress when I was a student nearly 20 years ago, and kept going with WordPress in different ways on personal hobbies. But when it came to creating our own software, we decided to build it on a platform which I knew and was contributing to. So we've got our own system, our own mobile apps, and it handles all automated bookkeeping. But I'm actually there in the code. I'm writing updates, I'm building new features, I'm keeping up to date with what happens within WordPress, because then it makes things a lot nicer and easier for our customers. So WordPress isn't always a hobby for me, it's powering my business, and people depend on that every day. And because of that, I give back to the community through the Five for Future program by giving my time back as a mentor and also as one of the project and program manager roles within the community to support other events which are taking place. So it works both ways, really. I'm getting a fantastic piece of software which can be used in the way that we need to for our business. But I'm also giving back to community by supporting events like this, the communities, and yeah, having a great time along the way. What a great world to work.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for answering all my questions. And would you like to add anything, maybe?
Oh, I'd just like to say thanks very much for having me on the first podcast. I'm really looking forward to the future episodes. And the great thing about being the mentor for this year is just like with being part of the organising team, you can see some of the exciting secret stuff, what's getting planned for Krakow, and it is going to be absolutely amazing. So I cannot wait to see everybody in June. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We just started our new WordCamp Europe Insights podcast. And now, as it comes to you, yes, you, the listener, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And to go a little bit away from the cliche, also remember to share this podcast with only one WordPress enthusiast. And, well, buy your ticket. go to our website. The description will hold the URL for buying tickets. And I will also drop in the Flickr account for the photos so that, as Steve mentioned, you can see how the fun really looks like and that you do not have to be the developer to come. So please come to WordCamp Europe, buy your tickets, listen to the next episodes, and see ya!